Hello and welcome back. Susan Zumo here, intuitive and originator of soul patterning harmonics. Well, we made it to October. I think that's quite an accomplishment, and we should all pat ourselves on the back for getting here in one piece or less. When I asked the Galactics about the month of October and what was ahead for us, I was surprised when they came back and said, "Tell them the secret." And I said, well, okay. The secret is something that we know. We know it in our minds. Some of us may know it in our hearts. And some others of us may know it in our being. And I and they would like for all of us to know it in our being. You've heard me talk before about the two teams. The A team, which I call us, the ones who are in the light and who are changing and growing and advancing our spiritual bodies and our love so that we can create and support the great shift. Then there's that other team that we call the B team. Their job and their sole purpose is to stop that from happening. One team are the builders and one team are the destroyers. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about and exactly which team you're on. Hopefully, you're on the same team I am, and that's why you're watching this. If you're not, well, maybe you can come over to our team. I don't know. But what I was reminded of is that as we are moving and progressing through the year, through the months, into next year, as we are moving further and further and further into the age of Aquarius, and are you hearing that song in your head now? And just as a side note, isn't it amazing that the group's name was the Fifth Dimension? Way, way back. So if you don't think there's somebody back in our team, somewhere out there in the cosmos that is influencing, suggesting, whispering, I would say go back and think again, because I think that is absolutely cool that the name of the group that sang The Age of Aquarius was the Fifth Dimension. Who would have thought that back in those days, right? I certainly didn't when I was walking around singing that tune. All right, so as we move into the age of Aquarius, there are members of the B team who are going to be working as hard as they absolutely can to stop it, to prolong it, to do whatever they can to hold on as long as they possibly can. Well, here's where that big secret comes in. And here's why it's so important for the month of October and for the months ahead. The big secret is that we outnumber them and we're more powerful than them. And they know that. Now, the difference between the B team and the A team is that they're really focused. They are focused on one thing and one thing only. And that's what they're focused on. They are in service to self, and they are absolutely focused on that. Their focus does not deviate. Our focus tends to deviate because we're caring. We care for others. We try to help others. We teach others. We heal, right? We do all of those wonderful things that divert our attention from self. And that's not a bad thing. However, we need to balance that. And we need to balance that by focusing on self, releasing our fears. Talked about this before, right? Expanding love and bringing more light into the body and into the world. Now, because the B team knows that we're more powerful than they are and that we outnumber them, they have to utilize every resource that they have in order to accomplish their goal. Well, they see us as a resource, and they see our power as something that they can tap into, they can drain, and they can utilize for themselves. Some of them know it consciously and some of them don't. But I will tell you this, without our power and without them being able to siphon off our energy, they would not be able to accomplish anything. So here's the secret. The secret is, do not participate. Do not allow that siphoning to happen. Well, how does that happen? It happens through grand events that create a grand emotional reaction. Every time we view or participate in a low frequency event where there is something taking place, or we are witnessing something in a video, on TV, in a movie, that causes us to have a fearful or a negative emotional response, feeds their plan, feeds them, gives them the power that they don't have. And so am I saying, don't watch the news? Don't listen to what's going on in the world. I'm not saying that at all. I do that. I'm aware of events that are taking place. But as soon as I feel myself start to have an emotional response, I step back. I turn it off. I walk away and I focus on something uplifting. I may be sending light, prayers, or healing to a situation or a place as my response to that negative feeling, that negative emotion. And I can tell you that feeling sorry for others, feeling the pain of others, that's not what we need to do. That feeds the other team and makes us a resource. What we want to do is shift that within ourselves and do something positive. Whether it's make a donation, whether it is take an action, whether it is go into a prayerful state and surround that area or situation with light and prayer, whether it is to send healing as our healers do, we want to have a positive response. As we continue to withdraw our attention and our energy from negative events, from having an emotional reaction to negative events, we are siphoning and shutting off that power source for the B team. And that's something that we can absolutely do. I'll tell you, many years ago in 2010, I was talking to my teacher, and she was talking about the things that she was being shown for the future, especially for this time. And as she was talking to me, she stopped and she said, I can't tell you anymore because it will create fear in you. And little arrogant me, I'm like, no, I don't have any kind of fear like that. Just go ahead and tell me. And she said, no. Well, she saw something in me that I hadn't recognized, and that was some undiscovered fear that I was not looking at or aware of. And she was correct. When I look back at the person I was in 2010, it would have scared me to death. And so 2 things happen as a result. The first thing is that a lot of what she saw did come true, but a lot of what she saw didn't. And so as we look into October, November, December 2025, everybody wants to know what the future will bring. No prediction is wrong because it hasn't happened yet. So you can't say that's wrong, that can't happen, because we don't know. Here's what we do know. If you are given a prediction that does not sit well with you, we have the power to mitigate it and to change it. If you are given a prediction that does sit well with you, you have the power to enliven it, to support it, and to invest in it and make it happen. And that's what I believe. So in the next month and all the way through into next year, you're going to hear tons of predictions. Some of them will be doom and gloom. Some of them will be light and love. Which ones are you going to choose to invest your energy in? Which ones are you going to be a resource for? I say make your own predictions and then fulfill them. We can do this together. I have no doubt of that. And as we move through October, and you are blasted by the B team, who again are throwing everything at us from the kitchen sink, ask yourself, how am I feeling about what I'm hearing? And if it is not neutral, I need to step back and I need to mitigate that within myself and cut off that source, that supply chain to the B team, because I'm not on the B team and I refuse to help them. Okay? So this is something that I'm going to ask us to focus on during the month of October. And this is the secret that they wanted me to tell you, that they cannot prolong the shift that is coming without us helping them, whether consciously or unconsciously, as a resource. Let's cut off that resource and let's move things along in a positive way. So that's what we've got to look forward to in October. If you are like me, you're going to chew on this for a little while and then start looking at it and start working on it. Don't be afraid. You are so powerful that if you would know that in your mind and in your heart, nothing could stop you. Know it in all of your being. And I'm right there with you. I'm working on knowing it too. So until next week, I wish you many, many powerful blessings.